This episode of the Alpha Podcast is sponsored by Soundstripe, but more on that later.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law.
All right, we're good to go, boys. So anyway, we'll basically just get straight into it. We'll introduce everyone that's here tonight. You don't need any introductions from me, so we'll go in the top right on my screen. We have QU1CKDRAW from Fury. Just want to give yourself a quick shout out.
I'm Joe, or QU1CKDRAW as people know me, Chief Executive Officer for Fury. Currently involved in multiple scenes, basically around the country and also internationally as well at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And unfortunately doesn't have a webcam available at the moment, but we've got DALEROXX from Riot Gaming. Same thing to you, mate. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So I'm Dale. I've been in the scene since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I've been all over the shop in ANZ. And basically, just been an avid esports observer, fan, caster, community member since then. So,
before we do get into it, am I correct in saying that this is the DALEROXX from the old Six-Axis gaming days?
Yes.
It is. Thank God. I knew it. I thought so. Well, just quick rundown anyway before we go a little bit further. Dale and I were part of an old PS3 forum back in the day. That's how old we are. Yeah. So a bloody PS3 forum when we were playing, I think it was Modern Warfare 2, hosting tournaments on that. So you have
the MySpace of CG.
This is the MySpace of CG before CG PS3 even was a thing. So, all right, boys. Look, basically, I wanted to get you both on tonight because for a couple of reasons. We all kind of share different perspectives. We're all from different organisations. Obviously, we all have different inroads and projections, ideas of what we have for an organisation. So that's why I wanted you both in here. One of the main topics, though, that is really hot at the moment, especially in OCE, has been for a little while now anyway, is the state of Fortnite. So, Joe, from our quick, brief interactions that we had before the podcast, you said that you guys are pro Fortnite. Dale, you've never really stepped foot in it. Is that correct?
When the 3v3s were a thing, we had an avid step in that. Outside of that, once it went away from that, no.
3v3s is in just like the trio mode, or like
trios at the start of the game. Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha. So look, I'll kind of do a back and forth with both of you. I really want to kind of get your opinions first. QU1CKDRAW, mainly because you guys are still in Fortnite. Anyone that follows us, we recently got out of it, but I suppose it's not really my time. So why Fortnite? Why do you guys think that it is such a big mainstay in your organisation, and why do you keep going down the route, especially with the new announcements with the lower prize pool? We've got a few things. No plans for Australian Open, no international lands. Like why Fortnite?
I mean, at least personally myself, I've never been like a massive Fortnite fan. I know a lot of people at least know my thoughts on it. I'm not really involved as much as I should be, but at least in Australia and New Zealand, I think it's just a waste, personally.
That's interesting.
I know at least at the moment we've only got Ronan at the moment, who's just our one player currently, because obviously we lost Carry On recently to Spray and Pray.
Yep.
So that Carry On leaving wasn't necessarily a bad thing in our eyes. Like, we saw that as a bit of a blessing, honestly. Like, the stuff that's happened recently, like, it was going to happen eventually, let's be honest.
Yep.
All the players just kept getting spoon-fed money constantly. And now that's been taken away, I think it's more like they're just acting like children, Like, when you get given so much at some point when you're a kid, right, and then you get it stripped away, you're going to have a suck about it eventually.
Yeah, well, when you cater to, I suppose, a competitive scene that's minimum age of 13, I suppose it is unfortunate, but I agree with you there, actually.
Yeah, but like, that's the simplest way of putting it. Like, the simplest way is this is at least my thoughts on it, because I know I've made this public a few days ago actually as well. People just need to suck it up personally and just look towards content as well in that area, because personally, not a single player that I have signed, whether it's in Fortnite or any other scene, like they have to do content, and every single player we have does it.
Yep.
Because if you're going to put like a market value on yourself and how much you think you're worth, let's say it's $1,000 a month or something like that for those really expensive big players, and you don't do content, it's like, where's the value coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, your splits typically don't come from player cuts because they're extremely low most of the time. And from that point, you really just need to just push for that content side of things. Otherwise, you're pretty well going to be useless 20 brand you actually sign with.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting you say like orgs do take a low cut. I heard, you know, a few, I don't know if the rumors are true, but I know that, I have heard that a few organizations, when they do dip their toe into Fortnite, they don't even take a cut. So they are literally just continuously paying players more money when they're playing like a pretty decent prize pool esport already. So they're getting the monthly salaries of say $400 to $600 a month, and then not giving anything back to the organization, and especially with no content as well. So, you know, I definitely echo your thoughts there. I was actually a little bit surprised. I thought you were a little bit more pro Fortnite, but I suppose that's going to make this a little bit more interesting. It
really depends. Like, I love the players that we have, but I don't really make the calls on that. It's more like Sets, obviously, since he's more involved, and Venom as well. But I just cruise through it, and like they're good people, whoever we sign and get along with. But it's a very weird spot to be in. I feel like there's a lot more that can be done there, but players just really need to, you know, just look in front of them and say the money's not always going to be there. You got to look to external avenues as well. Yeah,
100%. They kind of do need to step up, take a little bit of the reins, and grow their own brand as well. But look, I'll segue into you, Dale. So you've never been involved in Fortnite in terms of signing players through Riot, is that correct? Or
I believe the only...
I did ask that question. You were at the start. Sorry.
Yeah. I guess to add on to that, we've only ever really had one player, and that stemmed through them transitioning from another title anyway. So we previously had a player known as Shaggy, so he was also content focused as well. So that's why we were very pro having him as well. So
yeah. I do remember Shaggy. He was really involved in those 2v2 like kind of squad queue things right at the start before they even brought in private matches. I do remember that. Was he transitioned from Call of Duty? You said he was from another esport. Where was he from originally?
Yeah, I believe it was basically Call of Duty to Fortnite as soon as that came out, and I think he's still console focused Fortnite. So. Until I believe he only moved because he wanted a group of people with him. So we just let him go on because he wanted to be in a group sense.
Yeah,
so,
okay. But why never get more involved in Fortnite? I mean, I know the game has been around for a few years now. We've had a couple of Australian Open events, Summer Smashes, like World Cups even. Like the prize money that was involved in Fortnite was huge, never seen before in terms of esports ever. Why not dip your toe into Fortnite? What deterred you away from Fortnite so much that you never really wanted to get involved with it any more than what you already have?
I guess so. We did actually have him go to the Australian Open one, I believe. I believe he went, if I'm correct, it was not streamed for a portion and then streamed for the last day.
So that was the first Australian Open? Is that?
If I remember correctly, it was. And I believe they had issues, so that's where it wasn't streamed the first day. Trying to go back, it's hard to remember, but yeah. Outside of that, I guess I myself has always seen a lot of the players have the wrong mindset. Like coming from a Call of Duty background, it was very built up from the players. I guess if you agree with that. And with Fortnite, it's just kind of stuff has been thrown out there in a way that it's not really sustainable. Okay. And when you've got the initial years of people, I guess, expecting one way or another. It brings the wrong mindset for it to continuously grow and go on.
Do you feel that's like maybe players being a little bit selfish, maybe asking too much? It's kind of been a one-way street there. Like the org doesn't really get much out of it, because my opinion on Fortnite is it's a very kind of player-branded game. Like the players are always bigger than the orgs. So do you kind of mirror that thought yourself, or? I'm just intrigued because you, like the way you said the mentality was wrong. I kind of want to hear more about it.
I see it as kind of just an upbringing sort of thing. Like, some of these players have come from other places. Most of them have grown up there, and I just see it as a expectations being the wrong way because of I'll bring it back to like the money being thrown in there, and I never really saw. I think it was 100 million for the year or something like that. I never really saw that going any higher. Like for example, a Dota prize pool, how they crowdfund that. I just can't see the expectations to continuously grow, and also when the upbringing has been, $100 million first year thrown at your face. All these people, expecting tens, hundreds, thousands of dollars. I just feel it was brought out the wrong way, and because of that, there's an expectation that I guess won't change for 80% of the people playing.
Yeah. Do you think Fortnite? Well, I can ask both of you here anyway. Do you think Fortnite or Epic Games kind of shot themselves in the foot by trying to become that massive esport powerhouse, like literally just coming out of nowhere saying first season $100 million USD, $30 million World Cup prize pool? Do you think they shot themselves in the foot there by doing that first off?
I think they've done it backwards personally.
Yep.
You start low, then you move up. That's how literally every other game has worked, and at least in recent times as well, I could probably, as Dale was saying, and you were saying as well, like the players see themselves being bigger than the org. The amount of times, at least in the past, we've had players and we've had to ask them to do like the most basic shit possible, and they just don't do it. It's, it just shows you that they've got an ego. Like, it hurts to say that, but it's the truth. Yeah,
it is kind of. I don't like using the terms as well, but it is something that has kind of been bred into this community. And I don't want to bag out. This definitely isn't a podcast to bag out the Fortnite community. We're not here to bag out the Fortnite community. I think, like, my opinions or like my experience with Fortnite was it was a really safe investment at the start. But the problem is because they raised the ceiling so high to begin with, there was no room for error really at that point. So if they were to kind of drop down the price pool, and COVID as well hasn't really helped, but in saying that, I've heard the stats that they've made more money off skins since COVID in comparison to what it was before COVID hit. So I don't really know. It's kind of, like I said, I don't really want to turn this into a bag out every member of the Fortnite community or any organization that is involved in Fortnite, but kind of a discussion as to why Fortnite was so important, but why now it's kind of dipped in value as an org. So I think
it's like, it's a valuable thing to have. I know a lot of kids have gotten involved in esports recently as well. Like all these kids that are getting into, brands and such are still pretty young. I see it as a good thing, at least for the future, that they're at least getting an understanding of how it works. Because I know it is a bit of a tough gig, obviously, when you're younger, trying to figure out what you're going to do. Obviously, we probably all had the experience of like, a 12-year-old hitting our DM saying sign me or whatever the hell it is. That's just how, that's how it is. But
no, it's not even, they don't even give you the name. It's just, or you sign me.
Something like that. If I could pull up the Fury DMs right now, that'd literally be it. But
I had the shutouts just for that exact reason. And I was like, I can't be bothered. Here's an email address.
I mean, at least for us, like, we're still getting involved with it. But I know we're going to get involved with it more in the future, just not in Oceania. Like Brazil's where we're focusing now, and that's where we're going to continue going, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
And with that, as I said before, we're not signing players who don't do content.
Yeah.
And having that as the alternative now that, the pools are so small, it's like your pro-competitive players, like you're only going to get the value for what you pay for them if you actually get the content from them, which I feel some brands out there recently who have gone out and gotten such big players and just switching and rotating through all these players, they're really not getting the value for it because you're paying so much money and just not getting anything in return, which, again, is an amateur mistake, but there's just so much you need to take into consideration.
Yeah. Just a quick message to Fortnite orgs. Impressions mean absolutely fucking nothing.
They mean jack shit.
They mean jack shit. So if you can have... I can
like
look.
usually, I'm just going to use SPG as an example. I have nothing against them. I think Sam's doing a great job himself. But when you sign 3 big players, Carry On Squeaks and...
Volks.
Who was the other?
Volks.
Yeah, Volks as well. And even recently, I think it was an ex-Renegades player getting signed to another org as well, and then Parpy going to another one. It's like you're signing such big names who give you those impressions. Like even the little guys that I talk to, they're just like, oh, our impressions are so much more than yours. I'm like, it's Twitter. Like, who gives a shit? Like, they're trying to, break the bank just so you can get the best numbers possible. There's more to it than just, analytics. There's a lot more to it than just that. Yeah.
So to echo those thoughts with you, Dale, like you've been around a lot longer than what I have in terms of growing an esports organization. How would you kind of compare your growth, like as an organization, gradually compared to some of these other Fortnite orgs? Because there has been a few in recent years that have just come out of nowhere, especially in OCE. Like they're just analytic powerhouses and they don't do anything in terms of like brand creation. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I kind of want to hear your thoughts on that there.
I guess to chime on top of what was just said, like, numbers mean nothing, actions mean everything. I believe there's a real world saying for that, but I've forgotten it. Like, talk is cheap, actions mean everything.
Yeah.
Like, you can have all the numbers, all anything you want. You can do everything you want, sign people, do this, but you can literally have nothing to show for it in the end.
Yeah, 100%.
And showing for it doesn't mean having, as was just said, like millions of digits on your screen. Like, I guess going back to what you said, I guess this chimes into also partially being I'm not sure if the word would be like envious or saddened to see a lot of this growth from other places when you've got, I guess, principles that you don't want to do it just to do that.
So you value your brand over signing people just to get Twitter and like Twitter impressions. My number one thing that I've always had with all present and past, I guess, people or players or stuff, anything, has always been the professionalism that you show. I don't care what you've got. What you've got to show, what you bring. If you do not display this, you will not be here for long. You will not stay. You will not like show, like what you've got for the long haul. Like and I see this with a lot of people that come and go. Like it's just a repetitive thing. Yeah, and
having, I guess, that longevity, I feel, is a lot more powerful than, I guess, having these numbers, showing this players, these signings, whatever.
Yeah.
Just for this short amount of time, so whatever you get out of it.
You would prefer gradual growth, slow gradual growth, consistent growth over signing a big name just to get your numbers, get your name out there for a little bit, and then like we've all touched on, that player doing nothing in terms of content, brand awareness for you, helping out with activations in terms of sponsors and all that sort of stuff, and then literally just falling off the face of the earth. So Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I guess I might say doing it the right way as well. Like there's never a wrong and right way. You can do whatever you want. If it works for you, it works.
Yep.
Everyone's doing things on their own. There's no rule book for anything. Like no one's got a rule book. Like Fury does their own thing. Vertex does their own thing. I'm not. There's only a few that I could possibly call out, and they're gone. So like I've got no problems with no one. Everyone does things their own way. If it works, it doesn't work. I guess I've got my own way as well. Whether it currently has something to show for it or gradually has something to show for it, I at least know, I guess, in my own personal beliefs, it's the right way.
Yeah, you stick to your core values and something that you're happy doing. I can appreciate. I think everyone can appreciate that anyway. I don't think
you're spot on though.
Yeah.
Like he's not lying about that as well. Like you could really put pen to paper and just write a list of all these brands that just pop up in like 3-month period and they all just die off. Like it's always the case with that in Fortnite as well. You sign so many players at once and they just die off eventually because they just don't have that longevity, as Dale was saying. And quite frankly, I feel that also comes down to a lot of, I guess, like the agreements that you do have with a lot of Fortnite players for that matter are normally like really short-term agreements, so nothing really over 3-4 months.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, which again I find is concerning. At least off personal experience, a lot of players really chase the bag more so than wanting to stick it out with a brand and try and grow a little bit more. Yeah.
Definitely not everyone. I can throw a couple of guys out there that have worked with Vertex and they've moved on to bigger and better things like Benji's and Remy. Like a special shout out to them. Like I'm sure they were pretty hot property going around the OCE Fortnite scene, not because of their competitiveness, but because of what they can offer in terms of content and brand awareness. So in my opinion, I think you could probably agree with this as well, Quick Draw, is that players like you've said before, and kind of just to echo what you were saying, is sign people on what they can give you in terms of content and brand awareness. Don't sign people just because they're a good player. I would much rather sign someone outside of the top 100 who's going to give me consistent content than a top 10 player who gives me nothing. Like there has to be some kind of mutual agreement there for mutual brand growth. Like you can't expect to get the bag, grow your personal brand while the org that's literally funding you sits in the dust. So
yeah. That's the simplest way of putting it as well. Like even to put it into perspective, I think the PUBG team that we have on board with us, we're paying them the same amount as a player we had a while ago.
As in just like you're paying a whole team.
Literally just that team per month for 4 people.
They should be going overseas. I've been keeping up to date with that. Let's not talk about it. Different podcast, but bullshit.
Different. But to put it simply, those 4 guys, we get so much more out of them than we did with one player for the exact same amount monthly. That's the bottom line, right? So even outside of Australia, obviously we're going out and doing our own thing, which, as Dale was saying, everyone has their own way of approaching stuff. But what we've figured out is that some players overseas, even recently with Flawless, he was with us for about 8 months and he's recently left to go pursue opportunities. But that singular player was on a similar amount to some other individuals I know of. And
as in OCE Fortnite players?
This dude's out in Europe winning 45 grand in an event or pulling like 400, 500 views on a stream. Obviously Europe is, a bigger ball game, but, same money either way, you're obviously going to go to Europe. Like that's at least what we thought in our head. And like, I really just want Australian players to try and step it up a little bit more and just really think about their personal brand, because as you were saying, like their brand is the thing that's going to push them forward. And, you really just got to put, your money where your mouth is. You can ask for so much, but, you really just got to see our side of things as well. Because I feel a lot of people just get absolutely cucked out of so many opportunities because they've got so much money. It's just one person who just doesn't do much for them.
Apologies for the interruption. I just had to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this episode in Soundstripe. You're probably wondering, what is Soundstripe? Soundstripe is a new licensing website where you can purchase music, sound effects and stock footage for your videos. We all know the DMCA strikes are plaguing our industry at the moment, so why not avoid the hassle and create your own music playlist that you own the rights to? Depending on what best suits you, Soundstripe offers various membership options where you can use their service for music, sound effects, stock footage, or all of it. I've used Soundstripe for a few videos now, and I honestly can't recommend them enough. You can pretty much browse their library for anything. You can select whether or not you want vocals in the songs, the mood, and even the tempo. So if you really have a video that what you need to find a particular tempo of music, you can search that. By clicking the link in the description, you'll save 10% off your membership. Or if you're listening to this on an audio platform, go to soundstripe.com/FPR equals play AEN. I know that link's a little bit confusing, but that's all we've got at the moment. So again, that is soundstripe.com/FPR equals play AEN for 10% off your purchase. Back to the episode.
And that's unfortunately ultimately why we had to get out of Fortnite. The decline of OCE Fortnite has a lot to play with it, and not in terms of. I suppose we made a few mistakes along the way. We should have definitely prioritized certain people over others, but in terms of where we saw our vision of Fortnite was. We didn't get to live up to it, and I suppose one of the reasons being is because the decline in the prize pool. So many people they had no motivation to scrim. Their teammates had no motivation to scrim, and I feel like as well Fortnite, you sign a particular play, and this is another thing that kind of deterred me away from continuing down further into Fortnite. Is especially a lot of the meta is revolved around team play. So I can sign one player, but his results are ultimately put in the hands of someone from another organization. Does that kind of make sense? Because and that hurts as well, because you can probably have the best player in the region, but if his teammates don't really give a shit, it hurts you as a brand, and you're basically putting money into someone who's willing to do the work, but the people that he's teaming with don't, and if he leaves that team, it's just a whole another issue there. But can we all agree, because I think we could probably sit on this for a little bit longer, but I want to move on to something else. Can we all agree that if Fortnite, if there's any chance of Fortnite regrowing, or just any esport in general, that players need to stop grabbing the money and kind of doing something to earn these certain things that they once had? Do we all agree on that?
I feel like, to put it simply, loyalty. I feel that's going to be the key thing, because a lot of people want money over more so than assistance, right?
Yes.
For a lot of people, it's more so, I want to take this money and just, play, who cares? But I feel more so it's not all about the money, because there's a lot of brands out there who want to assist you and build your brand up, which is going to assist you in the future. And quite frankly, if I had to put it simply, I think a lot of OCE players need to just stop having such a big ego and really just need to come down to everyone else's level, because a lot of people think they're bigger than other people out there, but to be honest, we're on the same boat. It's the same across every single game currently in our region. And quite frankly, Fortnite, I still don't classify that as a primarily esport based thing. I still think it's more content based.
100%.
Just that's the simplest way of putting it. And yeah, that's literally just my thoughts on it. It's more a content based game than it is an esport based currently in my mind.
Well, 100%, and that's probably echoed by the thoughts of Epic Games. They don't see it as an esport anymore. They see it as a content game. They earn more money just by bringing in somebody to do a limited edition skin instead of giving us $100 million for 6 months of an esport. What do you think, Dale? Just kind of closing statements here on.
I think I can put this to a lot of different titles, and you can honestly, I know this is regarding Fortnite, but you can, I think almost all, if not all titles have this issue of money and fame is temporary, and you can do things with a smaller or more limited amount, whether it's money, whether it's whatever, and you can turn that to something that's more than what you would have got just by, as we said, chasing a bag, chasing fame and all that. There's lots of culprits behind that, and many faces that build up to this issue. But yeah, as I've said, it's a lot of idolizing others, whether that's people you see, or that's people you idolize from different regions and all over, that you can't just have that expectation there and there, or to want that there and there, because then you burn a lot of people and bridges that could get you there eventually.
Yeah, no, I agree. I listened to a Hex podcast a while back, and he said, and NA is light years ahead of where we are in terms of our size of esports, but he basically said it so simply, and it's resonated with me ever since, is that we need to do the hard work now so that people in future can actually enjoy the hard work that we've put in. Like, now that all these prize pools have been cut, OCE has lost a League of Legends spot. We haven't got any Valorant support, which was announced yesterday.
That's funny.
Fortnite OCE, they're literally like, I don't know. It's just, we need to stop.
We're getting shafted.
We're getting shafted though, but I feel like there is also a reason for that, and that's because, and it's not everyone. A lot of people are pulling their weight in terms of content and building brands and actually getting a fan base, but we need to still do more. And if we actually want to be a legitimate scene and give our players that we're paying, like we're paying at the moment, give them a chance to actually grow and create their own brands, we need to do more. And at the moment, not many people are doing that. So
on top of what you just said, I think we can take the US example and pretty much flip what's happening there with us, because they've got their own issues in their own mind. Like, they've got CS as an issue, whereas Valorant's, going strength to strength. And here we've got Valorant going, having issues, and we got CS going strength to strength. So, that's just obviously an add on top of everything you just said, because I agree. But we also can't. I'd say more players over anything else. We can't take an expectation of a different place, different region, and try and just straight up copy that onto our own. We have to morph it. We have to do something that's our own. And I think we have been chasing different regions, whether that's EU, Asia, and all that, without having our own, our own identity culture. Our own identity culture behind it, which I think would take us even further if we did.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, you'd mentioned CS. IEM Sydney comes to mind there straight away. Like, that was, in terms of like culture, well, call it culture. I don't think doing shoeies in the creators' culture, but it actually is, I suppose. But COVID probably did hurt that a little bit, because we lost that for a while. So now it's kind of, we're just kind of probably creating brands in our region rather than being able to outsource to those bigger, wider fan bases. But I still think, there's got to be more that we can do in terms of growing this esports scene. Like,
I also think we could embrace that. As you said, we've had players come from, the other regions, Mouse and all that, Fnatic and all that, who have said, there is nothing like this. We love this, and even though it's at a hindrance in terms of, I guess, prize pool for them, even though they don't say this is shit, more the travel and the expenses around that, they have said, we will do this time and time and time again just because of the experience and the culture. And like, I think, thinking about that is something we should take to a huge advantage. Whether it's, you don't want to see the alcohol and the culture around that. Esports, I guess, is a different sphere. You can do that and do it in a safe way, in a good way that shows off our stuff without bringing everything down.
No, it's interesting you say that. Like, we've all been involved in Call of Duty. Like, all of us have, somewhere along the line, we've had a COD esports team. And if you compare the live events of, like, say, London to most of the NA events, London, every player says the same thing. London is the best fan base to watch Call of Duty esports, and they have one pro team at the moment.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. Like maybe we do need to like, I don't know, embrace our culture with that just kind of being loudy, arrogant, banter-fueled idiots sometimes.
I feel for the most part, like, obviously COVID kind of like, you know, fucked us over a little bit. But
it will be back, though. It will be back.
Honestly, in my opinion, I think the next time the LAN circuits do come back, I genuinely think our region is going to pop off, if I'm going to be brutally honest. Even now, I know Dale's at least involved in FGC in Victoria as well as we are, but the LAN circuits that are going on, they're still going on now in Victoria and Perth, or we're involved in. And I've been to 2 of those events. One was MEO 2019. The other one was a local Australian major event in Adelaide, which I went to. And the amount of people that just go to that singular event from like the FGC community, at least, is absolutely ballistic. And that type of culture, I feel like that is going to be more moved into other scenes as well when the LAN circuit comes back. Because I know CS specifically as well, no matter whether it's LPL doing their thing in New Zealand, there's always packed people watching their finals events there.
Yep.
Or it's even other stuff with ESL. There's always people watching. Like, there's so many people who want to attend those events, but just can't right now. And I do think it's going to pop, personally. Like, we've done very well, at least last year, actually building up these teams. Even in your situation, obviously, with your team, with Vertex. Like, you guys have some fantastic individuals, to say the least. I know all of them personally, but those guys on a LAN event, they're going to bring, you know, a bit of hype with them as well, because that's just who they are as individuals.
Yeah.
And those individual personalities, I think, are going to bring the people in, because that's typically how it works anyway. When you know there's going to be such a, you know, a robust personality at an event, you typically want to go to it because those people are worth meeting. You
kind of like a Dick Stacey kind of personality. Like you think of Australian CS, you think
Rufflecoat.
Yeah, you think of Dick Stacey or like that kind of thing. Or you know, oh yeah, no, I agree with you. Do you think though? Look, we're pretty lucky in terms of as a country and as a nation of where we are with COVID. Do you think that there could be like a chance so that, let's say the vaccine starts rolling out, let's say it actually works, like, or even at this current time, like, you know, Melbourne hasn't seen many cases as of today, like Sydney's kind of borderline here and there, Brisbane, good. Do you think maybe if we started to see the return of LANs, even if it was just a local LAN, Australian, New Zealand only, within our own little bubble, do you see that as a potential room for growth?
Yes.
I think we've only seen it once. We've seen it multiple times.
I think the key thing, at least before COVID, was the MC LAN circuit. I got involved with the last one before.
Was that the CS? The CS?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the last event they had was in Adelaide, which I was actually doing a casting gig for them. And I've never met so many players at that one event. Like, prior to that, IEM was typically the one place I've actually met. And then when I go to this event and just commentate, there's just so many people there who I just didn't know. And turns out I actually knew them.
Yeah, okay.
And it was packed, honestly. Like, just for one once-off LAN event, obviously, joke is at least in Adelaide, like, it's a dry spot similar to, you know, let's just Perth as an example. There's not really many events that happen around here, and having the opportunity for that type of thing to pop up again just brought everyone together. There was so many people going to those specific events. Even, I know recently there was Landslide as well, which is typically a big event in Queensland, but it had to be online, obviously, due to their little pop-up recently. And even RF LAN in Perth, that's always packed as well. So I still think, like, moving forward, if there's more, I'd say, TOs who do get involved specifically with LAN organising around the country, there's still going to be more opportunities for a lot of players, whether it's playing in a team environment with their actual teammates going to proper events, or, you know, you just swing past a LAN with your mates. Like, it's still a pretty similar situation, personally, and it is going to help the growth.
Do you
still
think
plenty of people coming in?
Do you think, like, a lot of the growth, or not a lot of the growth, some of the growth has to kind of come back onto the players too, though? So, look, as a TO, from a TO's perspective, and I suppose even as an organisational perspective, getting sponsors is not easy. I can literally I couldn't even tell you how many days I've sat here and done hundreds of cold calls, emails, just trying to think out of the box. Getting sponsors isn't easy, but when it comes to organising these events, like, players want big prize pools, which is fair enough. Like, you don't want to be spending $200-300 on a plane ticket, then paying for a hotel to go and earn $500. Like, I suppose you go for the experience, which a lot of people probably do anyway. But do you think there has to be a bit more community effort there? So, like, in terms of, I'm trying to think of an example, because CS, a lot of CS events, you do still have to pay for entry. Like, do you think more of that needs to be a thing in order to actually have these events?
I think it depends, really. Mm-hmm. I know Kareth recently, who's involved with CS broadcasting, has been trying to put forward some LAN events around, but he tried hosting one for Valorant recently.
That was the one at Sydney, yeah?
Yeah. So there wasn't enough people that signed up to it, which, the prize pool was going to be funded specifically by them as a community effort. And I think in that regard, it really just depends on who you look at, because in a lot of scenarios on a lower tier level, most of the prize pools you do play for at LAN events are going to be funded by your entry fee. Mm-hmm. But on a bigger scale, obviously with proper functioning teams, it's going to be funded by those sponsors. But as you were saying, for those events specifically, it's a long process. Like, even in our scenario, I think you guys might have a similar thing in mind as well. It's normally a 6 to 12 month process at least. From what I've been talking with people about with sponsorships and such. And even I've been talking with Sav and Josh from Chiefs as well. And at least with their thoughts on things, like, it's a long process.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it doesn't happen overnight. A lot of players typically think, like, it's announced and, off you go. And quite frankly, it's more of a scenario of, like, it's a long, long process to get it organized. And if something does come up, it really does kill the mood, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think as it stands at the moment, when LANs do come back, there's going to be those scenarios where they are going to be funded by a sponsor specifically. And I think more so it's not necessarily about the prize pool, but I think that culture is going to start to build a little bit more. We just got to wait for it to come back, obviously. And I think it is going to start primarily with LPL, I'd argue, next season, because if they do get their LAN event in New Zealand, I do think that's going to at least be the start of something.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think, Dale? Do you think there needs to be a bit more community effort there, or?
I think there's multiple things. Like, you take obviously what's been happening. I think we're not going to see something, if not something, work till mid, if not second half of this year, which is annoying, but there's a lot of aspects around that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're lucky in a point where we've been able to successfully, get around this by actually doing something about, the pandemic. But I still think mid to second half is when, if not, you would see LAN events and people, I guess, happily wanting to go. Besides, if you take out that side of it, I think some of it is personality, whether that's players and that. Some of it's, what teams go. Some of it's the marketing around it. You've got a lot around it. I think we have had a really good example of this in I forget which Sydney CS event it was exactly. Which one of the two, I believe, 2 or 3. I believe. Now I'm trying to remember them. Dick Stacey and his crew before they went to RAN.
Greyhound.
Yeah, Greyhound. Sorry. But if you believe it or not, the Greyhounds, what they did was actually revolutionary for us. Besides, I guess, Renegades and 100T before that, they actually, because they're homegrown, did it all themselves, somehow built a culture around them. They brought a lot of people to the event who wouldn't have done it. So I definitely think it's, as I said, the culture and personalities around that that will bring up these events.
Yeah.
But I think there has been a stigma of, I guess, ANZ, whether that's events or fan interaction, etc., people attending these events, that it's low, which to a degree, yes, some ways it is, but I think the expectation is there's like a couple of people for these events when there can be tens, if not hundreds of people. So I don't think we should be shooting ourselves in the foot with this by saying, it's really bad, but also there's ways we can continue to prop it up, which, we were doing a bit before the pandemic happened as well. So I think it's just, a process, which is definitely doable.
And it probably has to be started on all levels. So the players need to put their, do their effort. Organisations, they need to do their effort. And like you use Greyhound as an example. Greyhound basically just knew that they had a good team of funny, like charismatic, good personal brands, and they made the most of it. Like they made good, they created a fan base with what they had.
It's literally meme culture.
Pretty much. Which is all Fortnite is.
Even though they didn't have like long form content, they still did bits and pieces, and, content stuff, content has never been fully figured out yet. Everyone's got their own thing. Even though you don't have, if you go an optic style, 100D style content for them, what they did, it really did work for them. Whether someone agrees or not, you just see that it did to a degree. And if it was still going today, who would know? Who knows what it would be?
Basically, everyone
figured out.
Everyone needs to. What you're basically saying, everyone has their own niche market, their own niche branding, and cater to a certain crowd.
That, and also I think no one's figured it out, and it's possible to do it if you try it. If you just put hard work into it, you can't, as we've been alluding to, and as the convo has come up every now and again, and very much so now, you can't just rely on scores, possibly placing first, as Chiefs has said, as a lot of people said. I think the conversation is even more, I guess, riled up even more. It's come up even more since the FNCS. It has to be it has to be all facets of, I guess, levels. TOs, teams, players, especially that that bring up the whole region, if not players, teams, etc.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think it's actually interesting. I thought we were all going to come in here today with completely polar opposite views, but I feel like we've all kind of got the same thing, and everyone has to kind of work together in order to create a brand that the orgs want and that the players want as well. Everyone kind of has to work together. So
yeah, we never really want to hate. I don't think any of us hate the scene, especially in Fortnite, or the players. Every place ever has these figureheads of bad apples, and that's always going to be the focus. That's just people in general. You're always going to look at that over the hundreds of people who are good examples. But also, when you kind of just walk down this path, if you're going to go like FNCS, for an example, we as a, I guess, community really have to create multiple paths, or like something else to go down now that one path is blocked off.
Yeah, no, I agree. Completely agree. There's, I don't know. We have to step up somewhere, and I feel like content is definitely a good start in creating brands and giving TOs like Summer Smash or like AO and actually a reason to put this money and to put this, like, all these resources to something. Like, they're not. I said to a player a while ago, while he was under us in Fortnite, I said, organisers like Australian Open aren't going to just give you an invite based on your results. If you are just if you're just another person who loads a game up, competes, gets good results, turns it off, and then does nothing, they're going to pick someone else who actually has a brand, because that's what people want to watch. Like, people don't want to watch someone who they don't know. They want to watch people who they do know, which is why last year when they had the second, I think it was the second AO, all the focus was on Mr. Fresh Asian. He has a brand. He has a fan base. Like, why would they want to watch someone who they don't know? So,
and it's a trickle-down effect of issues as well, you know. Although, you know, for now you might find someone who does do that or does like that, you're gonna have a trickle-down effect where you're gonna have nothing if you don't do something.
Well, I think we've pretty much all but covered it. Anyway, boys, like I said, I'm really, I don't know, surprised that we all kind of share very similar views, but I feel like that's kind of what needs to be done. Like, do you agree, Quick Draw, we need to just be more brand and content focused as a region to actually grow a fan base in order to grow?
Yeah, everyone needs to step it up. Like, that's the simplest way of putting it. I know, at least in our situation, we've spent the last month and a half, 2 months formatting more content related stuff as well. Our focus, at least heading into this year, is more content based activities, primarily aiming like 3 videos a week, 4 videos a week, primarily based around teams and whatever it would be. Where, at least in my opinion, someone needs to do something about it. I don't know if it's going to be some other brand out there or if it's going to be a player of some form, but everyone needs to just lead. Someone needs to lead the way, to put it simple. And everyone needs to follow behind. Because it's said time and time again, the only way we're going to develop as a region is by working together. And quite frankly, in these scenarios, if someone can see how content is being developed, that's where everyone else is going to follow suit, whether it's, you know, doing something similar, copying, whatever it is. You just need to just see it being done to be able to get an idea and a grasp on what you have to do yourself to push yourself forward.
Create our own blueprint, basically. Like all collaborations, content collaborations. Like even if it's literally, you've got a, I don't know, as an example, something that I've kind of trying to work on. If you've got a good FGC player and you're shit at FGC, verse each other. Get some good, funny content out of it, and just like make a video, because like there's nothing wrong with literally just sitting down with even just your staff team, clicking record, getting a couple of POVs, trying to create content. You're not going to go anywhere if you don't put in the effort. So I don't think there's anything else to cover, is there? I
mean, yeah, we've pretty well covered it personally. Opinions are pretty well the same across the board, which I actually find pretty good personally. Everyone knows what we have to do. That's all 3 of us know what we have to do, at least in our situations. And I hope other people who listen to this know the same thing as well.
Yeah. Well, any closing statements, boys? Anything? Dale?
Not really on the conversation. Yeah, I do think we all need to bring each other up, you know, whether that's, you know, be congratulative in successes or critical in some, in a constructive way. You know, that's how it's gonna do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for having me on as well.
No worries. Well, honestly, best of luck with yourself and Riot, and Joe, best of luck with you and Fury. And honestly, hopefully 2021, everyone sees a little bit more growth, a little bit more of a snowball effect, and we can continue to work together and grow this scene up to something that's actually going to be a reputable source of esports talent.
We'll be there. It may take a year or two, but honestly, someone's going to get there at some point. I do feel, though, a lot of the younger established brands, I feel they're probably going to overtake some of the big guys soon enough, in my opinion.
Well, if they work hard at it and they have a brand and they can actually stick to it 100%. Problem is, we've all got to keep doing it.
Yeah, just got to keep pushing. That's the simplest way of putting it.
There is nothing wrong with healthy competition. If you see someone doing something and you think you can do it better, don't just bag them out on Twitter. Put your money where your mouth is and actually do it. Create content yourself. I don't care if you're copying what they're doing. Just do the same thing. Try and do it better. That's how you get better.
Others' success is your success.
Pretty much. Yeah. Awesome. Well, boys, I don't think there's anything else to touch on this topic anyway, but once again, I appreciate you both coming on, taking time out of your Tuesday afternoon / night and jumping on board. Hopefully we'll get it out soon and get some feedback on it.
Yeah, no worries.
No worries, guys. Again, good luck, and thanks everyone for watching. See you soon.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.